Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. 10 years ago, a research team went into Hawara in Egypt in search of the fabled Lost Labyrinth, a colossal temple that featured prominently in the works of Herodotus and Strabo, and was said to contain more than 3,000 rooms underground and was full of hieroglyphs and paintings, but has since been lost under the sands of time. The National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics, or NRIAG, from Egypt, scanned a site in Hawara from February to March 2008 with non-intrusive methods, and their findings were exciting and groundbreaking, but mysteriously, their discovery was silenced. The Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt granted permission for the research at the Hawara necropolis to map what was beneath the surface so that preservation work could be prepared. The area is affected by salty groundwater, so drainage would be imperative to preserve the site, if of course there was physical archaeology to save. The NRIAG and Ghent University, along with researcher and project coordinator Louis de Cordia, led the expedition, and by all accounts they had the full cooperation of the Supreme Council of Antiquities in Egypt. So, what did they find? Well, before we go into the detail of the geophysical survey results, for those that are not familiar with the legendary site, let me give you a bit of background. The ancient authors who wrote about their excursions to Egypt are all in agreement with regards to the historic location of the labyrinth. It is situated 90 kilometers south of modern Cairo, at the entrance to the depression known as Fayum Oasis, next to the ancient Lake Moeris, which may have once housed two lost pyramids, as mentioned in a previous video. The location of the labyrinth is marked by the pyramid of Amenemhat III, the last great king of the 12th dynasty, who reigned roughly between 1855 and 1808 BC. This pyramid was not the king's tomb, and its function, like all pyramids, is certainly debatable. It is built of mud brick around a core of passages built into the limestone. Although badly dilapidated now, it was originally cased with white limestone, and did have a true pyramidal form. The team found out that now, in the 21st century, the entrance to the pyramid is flooded to a depth of 4 to 5 metres by groundwater. The famous historian Herodotus visited the labyrinth around 2,500 years ago and records his observations in History's Book 2, saying it was situated a little above Lake Moeris, and nearly opposite to that which is called the City of Crocodiles. The City of Crocodiles, also known as Crocodilopolis, was an ancient city on the western bank of the Nile, between the river and Lake Moeris. Herodotus said the labyrinth was a colossal temple with 3,000 rooms, and Strabo claims to have witnessed it firsthand. He wrote, "Before the entrances there lie what might be called chambers, which are long and many in number, and have paths running through one another, which twist and turn so that no one can enter or leave any court without a guide." Roman geographer Pomponius Mela wrote in the 1st century AD that the temple had innumerable paths, which he said caused great perplexity both because of their continual winding and because of their porticos which often reversed their direction. Pliny the Elder said it was a bewildering maze of paths, and said that those entering the maze were also confronted with a fearful noise of thunder, and had to pass through chambers of darkness. All writers from the 5th century BC to the 1st century AD are consistent with their accounts, saying it had a roof made of a single stone slab and also having immense beauty. Diodorus Siculus wrote that there were 40 columns on each side of it, that it contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings, as well as of the temples and sacrifices carried out in there. All the paintings were skillfully worked and of the greatest beauty. Herodotus also said there were crocodile vaults on the underground level of the labyrinth, in honour of the Egyptian crocodile god Sobek. Although over the millennia the labyrinth became buried, the great Flinders Petrie did rediscover it in 1889. He said that the artificial stone plateau, 304 metres by 244 metres, was totally demolished and had become a stone quarry in the Ptolemaic era. But had Petrie actually found the roof of the labyrinth? And could the labyrinth therefore still be relatively intact underground? Herodotus wrote that the roof is of stone, just like the walls. Diodorus Siculus wrote, this building had a roof made of a single stone, and Strabo said, the wonder of it is the roofs of each chamber, which are made of single stones. The area was most certainly already affected by the corrosive effects of salty groundwater, but there was still a great deal to learn in a new research project. The Lost Labyrinth is certainly one of the enigmas of ancient Egypt, recorded by the classical writers of old and argued by some to contain lost knowledge of the ancient Egyptians. The 2008 Mataha Expedition wasn't a luxury project. In my opinion, it was necessary to get a full picture of Egyptian history and a chance to find something of immense international importance. So why are the results of the expedition not widely known? They were first officially released in August 2008 by the NRIAG to the persons directly related with the Hawara Preservation Plan of the Supreme Council of Antiquities. They were secondly published in the Scientific Journal of the NRIAG in autumn 2008. Thirdly, the research information was exchanged in a public lecture at Ghent University in October 2008 in front of the Belgian press. But even today, 10 years later, the conclusion of the Hawara Geophysical Survey is still waiting to be officially released by the Supreme Council of Antiquities. In a document released by the Mataha Expedition, Dr. Zahi Hawass requested the team stop communicating their results, and the Egyptian authorities gave no explanation why. Since then, there has been nothing but silence. 2 years later, in June 2010, the team decided to publish their results on a website, which has since been taken down, but thankfully the information has survived, and I think a video on this channel is necessary to put the information back into the public domain. The team confirmed substantial archaeological features next to the ruined pyramid of Amenemhat III, covering a huge underground area, and displaying the clear geophysical signature of vertical walls with an average thickness of several meters. They were found to connect and create nearly closed rooms, huge in number. Without question, the team confirmed the finding of large parts of the labyrinth, just as described by the classical authors of antiquity. This was certainly a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. One scan surveyed an area 150 metres by 100 metres on the right side of the Barwabi Canal, and one on the left, measuring 80 metres by 100 metres. As the whole area was not surveyed, the full size and shape of the labyrinth could not be determined, and the survey also revealed a high volume of saline groundwater, which did affect the consistency of the survey, but the results, as you can see, are certainly clear. In the upper ground zone above the water level, decaying mud brick walls appear at the shallow depth ranging between 1.5 to 2.5 metres. These are thought to be Ptolemaic or Roman in age, a time when the area was used as a cemetery. Further down, beneath the artificial stone surface, appearing at the depth of 8 to 12 metres, there is a grid structure of gigantic size, made of a very high resistivity material, very similar to granite. This is below the labyrinth foundation zone identified by Petrie, and therefore implies that Petrie's foundation was in fact the roof of the labyrinth. The results also imply that the age-old belief that the labyrinth became a stone quarry in Ptolemaic times is in fact wrong, and that the labyrinth still exists relatively intact. The proximity of the nearby pyramid, as described by Herodotus, is also coherent with the new findings, which gives the ancient historian's account credibility. At the time of the geophysical survey in 2008, The groundwater level had risen to the point that it had drowned the whole site with corrosive, salty water, and the team recommended urgent environmental protection. The enigmatic Labyrinth of Hawara was so incredible and is arguably the greatest wonder of the ancient world, with Herodotus himself saying it surpassed even the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Nobody doubts that the findings are of great significance to the study of the history of ancient Egypt. Yet we are told that Zahi Hawass and the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities put a stop on the results being officially published. Louis de Cordier, researcher and coordinator of the project, launched his own website to publicly post the results, and there is hope that one day the results of the Mataha Expedition will be recognised by Egyptian authorities and the site can be excavated and preserved. It's now been 10 years since the project, and today, in 2018, the discovery still has no official recognition, and if we're honest, it probably never will. And why? Well, you tell me. The lost labyrinth of Egypt was discovered 10 years ago, and yet, for reasons unknown, with every year that passes, we are surely losing some truly important aspects of our history. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.